Alright, guys. It is January the 17th, year of our Lord 2025. Last night we were talking about faith. I think we need to hit a little bit more on that. Something that came to mind today is look at your marriage, look at your relationship with your significant other. A lot of people say your trust in your partner is that they're not going to cheat on you while you're away is just that, trust. No. It's faith. If you think trust is faith, then why don't you trust God? And maybe it's the same thing. We trust in the chair to hold us up when we sit down in it. We trust a door to open when we push on it. In my opinion, that's faith. We put faith into things like that. So if you can put faith into that, why can't you use the same amount of faith in God? Now, I'm going to say this up front, and my wife's going to hear this, so this is for my wife. I'm not actually talking about you, okay? But, for instance, when I go to work at night, yeah, there's been some things creeped in my head about my wife cheating on me with some dude, but I know she's not doing it. It's just my mind running because every guy thinks that at one point or another. Especially when they're, let's say my wife was working, who she hooking up with in the break room, in a broom closet at work, things like that. It's gone through every guy's head. But I have faith in my wife to respect me, not to do that. And my wife has faith in me that I would respect her and not do that as well. So that's faith, in my opinion. My wife has faith in me to get home safely. I have the skill to do it, so therefore it's not faith for me. I know I can get home safely. But at the same time, I have faith that I'm still going to get home safely. But what I'm trying to say is we don't have enough faith nowadays. And if we do, it's only for a brief moment. It's not a continuous thing. Why is that? If your faith can't be a continuous thing with God, then how can He answer your prayers continuously? How can you have a dialogue with Him? I don't think you can. That faith has to be there at all times. Not just when it's a convenience for you. And I think we're missing that a lot. So what I'm trying to say is this. If we can't have faith in God 24/7, 365 days a year, then what are we doing? And why should we expect God to be there for us if we don't have faith in Him to do, to be with us 24/7, 365 days a year? We really need to understand what it is we are actually, what this entails. And this is my rabbit hole. This is how I'm thinking. And I'll admit this, I may be totally wrong. Totally. But if you don't have faith in God at all times, how can you have faith in yourself at all times? If you don't have faith in yourself at all, then how can God have faith in you? You need to soul search. You need to find what it is that you have faith in yourself. I have faith in myself that I'm a survivor. I have faith in myself no matter what situations put in front of me, I will come out the other end of it. And I will be stronger doing it. My wife told me that in rough situations, I just take lead, and I do. And I do that. But I'm not a leader. Because I second guess myself all the time until it comes down to the actual event. And then I just do what I have to do. And I make a lot of mistakes. That's why I don't think of myself as a leader. But in a tough situation, people have accepted my lead, especially when there's been accidents at work. There's been incidences happen, and I'm there, and I'm like, oh, you're not doing it this way, you're doing it that way, because this way can actually help instead of hinder. So that's just me. And I think God made me this way so in a crisis situation, I just help. If someone breaks down the side of the road, I stop and I try to help. Especially if it just happened. Somebody blows a tire, I will actually go out and jack the car up, change the tire out. It's not that big of a deal for me. Is that me being a leader? No, that's just me being helpful. Sometimes that's all you can do. I don't consider myself a nice guy. My wife says I'm too nice. But when you cross me, my wife has seen that side of me too. You don't want to see that side of me. That side of me is always locked up, and I'm afraid of what it'll do when I let it out. So God helps me keep that locked away until it's needed. Little things that aggravate me doesn't bring it out like it used to. When I was younger, little things I'd get super pissed off about, and I would just, especially when somebody tried to hurt me or somebody I cared about, I would unload. Around my mom, my sister, I'd clam up. I didn't want them to see it. So there's things that has happened to me that they don't even know about. So what I'm trying to get through and say is God can help you with a lot of things to help you keep things under control with just simple faith. He is the miracle worker. He's the bringer of life and the taker of life. If you had a wish to bring life into this world or take life out of this world, what would it be? There's only two options. I don't know what mine would be, but I guarantee you it wouldn't be death. I wouldn't wish death on anybody I know. No matter how much I despise somebody, how much I dislike them, I still wouldn't wish death on them. Maybe a little bit of pestilence, maybe a little bit of sprinkling of their own hypocrisy, but I would never ask for anybody to die. But I've been told by a couple of people they wish I was dead, especially when I was younger. So that is the question I'm asking you guys. What would you choose? Life or death? But you gotta have faith in yourself to know the difference between good and bad. You have to have faith in yourself to know that what you're doing deep down is the right thing when everybody else is telling you you're going down the wrong path. If everybody listened to themselves besides everybody else, I think you'd be a lot happier in life. Because when you listen to yourself, that little voice in your head that's telling you, hey, this is a better way, don't do this, go this route. It's a little harder, but yet you'll get there. I think that's God telling you to go that route. And when you ignore that route, you're ignoring God. So you have to make decisions. And that's what this world is all about. The right to choose. Do you have faith? Or do you not? I have faith in my wife that she loves me. And that she cherishes the vows that we made. To love and honor in sickness and in health till death do us part. much faith do you have in your partners? In your spouse? In your kids? Understand how that works. When you understand how that works, you can understand how the faith in God is. Because this is another thing the wife's going to get mad at me about, but my faith in my wife is not nearly as strong as the faith in God. Sorry, Puddin'. That's truth. Because it even says in the Bible, love God above all else. Then love your spouse. So you're supposed to love God and have more faith in God than you are your spouse. And when you want to get technical, it even states, love your spouse before your children. So when people neglect their spouse for the children, you're going against God at that point. Because God even says to love your spouse before your children. And become one flesh. So there's a lot of stuff we do wrong. That's why God will forgive you. Especially when you don't know any better. Just like a 5-year-old kid that didn't know when you went into the grocery store in that stroller, or a 3-year-old in a stroller, grabbed a candy bar and started playing with that, and the parents didn't know it until they stepped outside, grabbed the kid, and he had a candy bar in his hand. He stole the candy bar. Can you actually hold a 3-year-old accountable? No, they don't have the brain function to know the difference. But a lot of people will say that's still stealing. Yes, it is. And it's the adult's fault. But is it? If we're supposed to be responsible for ourselves, some people will make the argument, kids supposed to be responsible for their actions just like we are. And that's not true. The actions of your kids is a reflection of you. If you let your kids get away with whatever they want, you expect to get away with whatever you want. And that's where problems come in. When you don't discipline your kids. Am I saying beat them half to death? No. But sometimes you do have to give them a whooping. Sometimes you have to do more than take their toys away from them. Sometimes you have to let them make their own mistakes so they learn not to do it again. I remember as a kid, Mom had this thing on a board and was pushing down on the clothes. Obviously it was an iron. I didn't know what it was. And she says, it's hot, don't touch it. I ignored it. I touched that thing, it burnt the tip of my finger. Mom put it in some ice water and she said, I told you not to touch it. Now you'll know not to touch that thing. I never messed with that thing afterwards. Was that my mom being a neglectable parent? No. Some things your kids just have to learn. How do you think God teaches us? By letting us learn. A lot of lessons are very hard lessons to learn. A lot of people go through the same things, not learning the lesson that's needed, and they have to repeat the lesson. So if you can't have faith in God, but you can have faith in your spouse, I would say you got misplaced faith. My opinion. Before we cut this off, guys, we're getting close to the inauguration of Donald Trump. There is a lot of rumors going around right now about some natural disasters going on, possible attempt of a civil war effect here in the United States. There's just a lot of rumors going around. No one really knows what to believe. We can only take it day by day. But please be prepared. Have faith in God that He'll handle it. But pray to God that He'll handle it. Put everything in His hands. His hands is big enough to hold the world. He can handle this little bit of things here. Everybody has felt the winds of change take place. There is a change coming. And it's going to be something that people are not prepared for. Prepare yourselves. Stop taking things for granted. Stop thinking, oh, everything's hunky-dory. I can do this, I can do that, and I can keep doing what I'm doing, and there's not going to be any consequences. There is going to be significant change, and there will be consequences with those change. For a lot of people, it'll be good consequences. For a lot of people, it's going to be bad because they're not listening. Pay attention to what's going on. Okay? You guys be safe. You guys have a good weekend. God bless you guys. God loves you guys. Remember to pray.